There's a wind. It's cold. Frozen landscape stretches out beyond the Pine Haven Mall. Lights, once brightly illuminating the entire parking area of the southern lot, have gone dark. Fires burn. Gunshots have arisen from inside the ruins of that structure. There is a deep howl in the wind as it rips through the hills of the Pin region. This land is mountainous. Outside of what was once known as Pittsburgh. Now, it's an empty wasteland, devoid of much life at all. The trees have shed their leaves, and much of the ground is covered in new fallen white snow. As the gunshots erupt from the structure and darkness descends, only the light of the moon and the stars illuminate the path of a young woman. She has been clearing the dead, covered in the ichor of the zombies that she has fought her way through. They lie piled to the left and right. A jagged, sharp-looking weapon in her hand. A machete that has been cut and forged out of rusted metal taken off of an abandoned vehicle. The handle of this weapon is metal and curves around, wrapped in sinew and leather. It drips black bile. The dead, known as Romeros in this region, do not rot, not like they used to, not like corpses in the times before the fall. Now, they are pulled forward, unseen, as the virus moves through them, recreating their circulatory system and drawing them up from the ground. Friends, family, anyone who dies now becomes a monster. And they roam these lands. So much of the United States is destroyed and lost. But the communications that exist are meager. A few scattered CB radios, and word of mouth from the group known as the Rag and Bone. Merchants that travel from place to place bravely between the communities, trying their best to link together all of the varied settlements of this place, hoping to bring life in the middle of all of this death. And this young woman stands there, surrounded by now the corpses of the risen dead. Would you like to describe yourself?
Yes. Dialup stands at about 5 foot even. She's rather small in stature, but you can tell there's muscle built into her upper body from doing exactly this, moving bodies and swinging weapons. She wears a kind of patched together jumpsuit and plates of armor that are also assembled from pieces of cars, pieces of previous weapons that didn't quite work for her. And she's figured out how to kind of plate herself in the most delicate and important areas. She slides the blade back into the armor on her back, and she carries a piece of fabric that has some extra scraps of metal in it that she was dragging across the land. And she looks down at one of the bodies and notices that an arm has been essentially cleared off of a Romero. And she opens up the piece of fabric she's dragging the scraps in and stashes one into it, ties it back up with the metal to continue dragging.
You've collected quite a few treasures out here, haven't you?
Yes.
Your concentration and your focus out here is better than it is inside the walls. You were born after the fall, and for you, the idea of a modern civilization is a dream. Everything that you know you've learned through the tattered VHS tapes that are played where rarely generators are found. There is some limited power in the Pine Haven shopping center. You've been brought in by one of the echoes, Achira. She was kind to you, but she was also tough. You felt that perhaps she might be worth following. And you were brought into a community led by a woman named Faith. And there were others like you that were held within the walls of this place. It barely resembles what anyone would know as a shopping mall any longer. The Pine Haven Shopping Center has been refitted and built into a fortress. It stands outside of the normal trade routes, and it's on the outskirts of an abandoned suburb. It's now your home. You've been here for a few months. The limited power that it has fails from time to time, but the gunshots tell you that this isn't just a routine blackout. Something is happening. Your home, your new home, is under attack. Dialup, what do you do?
I immediately grip back out for my weapon, and I stash the bag that I was carrying, the fabric tied, somewhere that someone wouldn't be able to see it, and I'm going to take to the nearest onlooking point.
You're trying to get to higher ground so that you can see what's happening.
Yes.
You move up to a ridge. I'd like for you to make a stealth roll.
All right.
To do so, the first thing that we're going to have you do is roll a pair of percentile dice. Those are going to be compared against the skill that you have, and we're going to determine how many degrees of success or failure you've created. Now, I do need to tell you, last week, not all of the competency was used in a communal pool, meaning that there are 2 additional competency points. However, you do have friends out in the apocalypse, individuals who have been looking out for your best interest. There are 5 additional. So there are 7 competency points available to everyone here. At the same time, however, a certain amount of risk has been given. And those multipliers will be affecting the game as well.
So I have 41, and I believe my threshold is 66.
So you are under your skill by 2 degrees of success. It's very good. If you'd like, you could spend competency to make it even better, or you can let it ride.
Can I ask how close any kind of clattering of attack might sound?
It's far away.
Then I will save that for now, and I will just do my best to climb up and take the high ground.
You pull yourself up the ridge towards a grouping of dead trees. Snow whips around you, and you're warmly dressed, but you feel the bite. Winter has truly descended upon the Penn region. And as you get to the top and you look down, you see the fires, and you hear a sound that you're all too familiar with. a massive explosion.
Can I see the explosion?
You see a puff of smoke emanating from the north lot. The Pine Haven Shopping Center has two main entrances. The north lot, which is well guarded and protected, walls have been created using abandoned semi-trailers, old vehicles that have been stacked together, barricades that have been built to filter and bottleneck the dead should they come this direction. The south lot, however, is more open. It leads out into the wilderness. What was once a highway is now a broken arch that leads into the woods. And from here, the dead often wander in and pull themselves towards the living that have sheltered within your home. Your job is often to clear the dead in this area. There are entire sections of the Pine Haven Shopping Center that have been closed off for security. You see the north side is under attack, where most of the population is.
I would like to head towards it.
You start moving quickly down the ridge and towards the shopping center. Are you going back into the southern lot, or are you going to try to go around towards the front on the north lot?
Is there any way to travel on like rooftops of the shopping center to get over it?
You can.
I would like to go that way.
You begin climbing. You pull yourself up through the rubble and find yourself very, very far off the ground. You've done this before, I imagine.
Yes.
So you understand how dangerous the footing here is, how one slip on the ice could mean a very fatal fall. You start moving. Carefully, one booted foot in front of the other. What skill would you like to use to make it safely to the other side?
What am I good at? Tell me I'm good at something with this. Okay, balance.
Makes a great deal of sense.
I'd certainly like to try. Okay, so I have a 37, and my threshold is 50, but I know this is particularly difficult, so I would like to utilize the help to try and make that a better success.
Very well. It's 50 even is your skill?
Yes, it is.
So you have 1 degree of success, and you are going to take a number of competency from the shared pool to make this a greater success.
I believe there was an individual competency, right?
You have 3 to start the game with.
Okay. I will take one of my own.
One of your own to make it 2 degrees of success?
Yes.
Excellent. I need to make a roll myself. That is 100. You make it across the roof, unseen by any who might be watching. You are safe, and as you move across, you see an area of the north lot that is open, where the ceiling long ago has caved in. There are vines and some plant growth that has survived the winter so far, but most of it is dead and has retreated for the winter. Brown and gray ropes of vine that hang from the top of this building. Nature has taken so much of this place back, but the open area leads down into a small tract of gardens created by the people that live here, built within the old fountains that once existed in this space. And you can see all the way down 2 stories. And you see gunfire and individuals moving about in the darkness, shapes illuminated by the moon, and fires in pits that have been originally started to bring heat to the inhabitants of this place, but now are the only illumination available. All of the electric lights have died. And with the exception of a scattered few battery-operated flashlights, you see no other sources of light. What would you like to do?
Dialup gets as close to the edge as she safely can, and then screams, 4! And I'm going to throw a Molotov cocktail.
So be it.
I'm going to do my best to throw it towards the back of the furthest distance from us, in theory hoping that there would be less of our people close by and that they would also heed my warning.
I think that those who have lived with you these past months have become acutely aware of what 4 stands for. And I'm going to have you roll your throw. Again, just to gauge the accuracy of your throw.
Ooh, okay. So I got 46, and my total was 44.
Something that, I would want to pitch for Dialup's character, since we had a number of survival points, for their training value bonus, since they tend to deal with explosives and they tend to throw a lot of things. Perhaps it would be, right now they don't have any training value bonus, maybe 2 would be, a good amount to put in for this character that's built around throwing in explosives.
Deduct 500 of your survival points. Just put a negative 500 on your sheet, and we will give you a ×2 modifier on a number of your skills, but we'll start with your throwing. Since you are... explosives aren't necessarily meant to be thrown weapons, and throwing has a number of different uses, but I do agree with Markia here.
Okay, so it's a minus of just 4, which does put me just under.
You're just under. So I'm going to give you 1 degree of success on this, and if you wish, you can use additional competency points, but 1 degree of success is, in fact, a success.
I'm just going to go for it.
You're just going to let it go?
Uh-huh.
So be it. The Molotov cocktail, once lit, blazes through the air and crashes down in the middle of a group that has just broken through the main doors of the north gate. We do have a map prepared. You will see on that map a number of individuals here. These are the intruders, and they have automatic weapons. And as the fire of that Molotov cocktail rocks through this area, the smoke that was billowing through this corridor here blows back, and you can see from the fire that you've just created. They're well armed. There are 7 of them that have entered through this area, and there are a number of your fallen allies that have risen back from the dead. So there are Romeros pulling themselves through this alcove in front of the shopping center. And there's the clatter of automatic fire as they spray wildly into the air, just trying to intimidate. But the fire that's burning in front of them gives you a clear view of all of them, and everyone present now also sees them very clearly. Faith, you feel hot fire burning in your shoulder. You've suffered a gunshot wound. You know that the bullet is still in there. The bone of your shoulder blade aches. There's a deep, sharp stinging that works its way down your arm, and the hot warmth of your own blood is keeping your chest warm in this frigid air. Next to you, you feel Polly. Would the two of you please describe yourself and talk a little about what you're doing as you come down from the escalator?
So There's blood everywhere. I got shot quite a bit previously, and we've been sort of just clinging onto each other, trying to get through to this escalator area. Obviously, the escalator does not work, and we are just trying to traipse. We're going down or up the escalator?
You're coming down from the second floor.
Okay. So I imagine as we're going down, it's rough going. Yeah, you just see Faith is just covered in scrapes, dirt, blood. It's matted everywhere in her hair and her clothes. Not looking too good.
Polly, looking not as worse for wear, has not been shot, certainly, but has had to sacrifice some of her clothing, is hoisting up Faith as best as she can while also awkwardly trying to hold on to her weapon. So it's definitely not a pretty sight as they try to make their way down the escalator.
It's a shame about your jacket. It was real nice.
It's fine. I can find another one.
I mean, apparently jackets are hard to find around here.
Don't remind me.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get down here. We're gonna look for some others for support. If we can't find anyone, well...
I mean, I think we found someone, just not the people we want to find.
Yeah, I would say the two of us, well, me injured as I am, I think we need to just hide for a bit unless we can find more of our kind. If not, then we have to escape. But let's look for the others. There's gotta be other people here.
Yeah, you stay put.
I'm fine. What are you talking about? Feeling great.
I'll look for others.
Behind you, Polly, you hear sort of large, lumbering footsteps come down the escalator as Arlo finally catches up. He's got sort of a baby face, but he's very large. He has broad shoulders and is bulky, softer, not quite muscled, but he has large hands that are in fingerless gloves, and he's wrapped heavily in a fur coat that is a partial jean jacket that's been sort of stapled together. He's got goggles on top of his head. He's the right hand of a man that you know named Declan. Currently, Declan is on the second level with a sniper rifle, covering both you and Faith. One of the dead start roaming a little close, and you hear the crack of that rifle, and the Romero drops to the ground lifeless. Where would you like to go?
Is there a place kind of underneath the escalators that I can take Faith to get her a little bit of cover so that she doesn't have to be fighting with an injury?
Yes. You can move underneath the escalator. Now, this is your home. You've been here now for about a year. I would like to know, do you have any defenses that you would have kept close at hand should an attack occur?
Is this close to my home base, as it were?
What do you see Polly's home base as?
Oh, it's the abandoned Claire's in the mall, Knox.
Would you like to describe your home?
Yeah, Polly has made her home in the remnants of the very 90s Claire's shop. She has removed all of the tilt-a-whirl carousels that held all of the pieces and jewelry and little knickknacks that, a place like Claire's would sell, but has kept everything that was on them and has kind of transformed it into the closest approximation that she can get to a 16-year-old teenage girl's room in the 90s. It's filled with sparkles, it's filled with baubles. There is like an old purple box television that does not work that she's kept anyway, that's like jetted up into a corner, maybe in hopes that someday she can fix it. And although it's very cutesy and neat, she has made sure that the gate that was used previously while the mall was in operation is still in operating order and can be pulled down if needed to keep the space safe.
Many of the spaces have those gates that have been repaired and brought back in. So if someone chooses to make a living space within one of the old storefronts, they're able to use these as a shield or as some sort of door or guard against something that might happen during the night. However, many of them have been removed and built into the barricade that's on the outskirts of the Pine Haven Mall. Now, your home in the former Claire's is about 200 feet further back towards the south lot. No one enters into the south lot. There are chains and locks, and only when clearing the dead do groups of scouts enter into that area to make sure that the entire shopping center isn't surrounded by Romeros. Herds and swarms often come in from the mountains, and so to protect against that, individuals go out. Your home, the Claires, you can see it. Both you and Faith duck underneath the escalator as gunfire rips across the metal, just missing you, and the two of you slump down in the darkness underneath it.
Okay, that's not great. I feel like there's definitely storage of some more weapons here. I've got my guns on me. Do you have anything?
Hefts the large purple L.
Fucking L. Okay. Do you have any projectile weapons? Bows, arrows, guns?
Pulls out a pistol.
Amazing. Okay. I told you to stop. Just carry the gun.
I like this better.
You can have both. It's fine. I don't think hiding here is going to do us any good. I know I'm injured, but I guess you can take point and I can follow.
Are you going to be okay on your own?
I have to be. I can't just sit here. We're all going to die.
Polly looks to Arlo and says, I'm going to take point. Can you...
Arlo was standing just on the other side of the escalator and has just now ducked under and looks at you with kind of wide brown eyes.
Can you make sure Faith stays up?
Yeah, I can keep Faith up.
Okay. I still have my guns. I'll look out from behind where we're going. You look forward. Arlo, just fucking carry me, I guess.
I can take care of you. Just lean on me.
Yeah.
Arlo kind of pushes himself. He smells like flop sweat. But he presses close to you and holds you up. And you hear more gunfire and the explosion of the Molotov cocktail. You can see now the light that has been cast across it, and the individuals in front of you that have entered in through the north gate are all masked. And Faith, you immediately recognize the black armor and the white featureless mask of the individuals known as the Silent Sentinels. Warriors of the group that many call the Shepherds. You know them to be known as the Hand of Malachi. Religious extremists who worship the dead and have built their church around the end of days. They can walk amongst the dead, and you've seen horrifying things at their hands. But you've never seen them carry automatic weapons.
Listen, I don't know what the fuck is going on here, and I don't remember if you saw these guys last time or not, but they're dressed like those weird religious cult people, the Shepherds, but they're not. These are militia or something, but I don't know why they're dressed up like a different group.
If we're careful, they'll go down like anybody else.
Yeah, maybe we should make a plan. In the area that they are facing, could we find a vantage point that is hidden that we could start snipering them off a little bit?
You could. You could certainly try. You're going to have to break out from where you are, though.
Okay.
If you look to the map, in the center is a very large fountain. Now that has been filled in with dirt, and plants are currently covered against the winter air. You and your community have built gardens here, in rows, in the center of what was once the main pavilion of the Pine Haven Mall. Now, the Pine Haven Mall is much larger than this. This is just the first section of that place. It leads out this way, and from this direction is North Gate, which is the series of wall that has been constructed around the shattered concrete of what was once the parking lot. Here, on the far side of the map, smoke billows out. And while you consider your options, a figure moves from within that smoke. Achira, your ears are ringing. There are two Romero fighting each other in front of you. One of them is the newly risen remains of Sweetums, a leader here in the community. Now, the large man is very dead. Their guts are being pulled out of their body as the Romero that you've come to know as Sugar strikes forward with her sharpened, bony fingers, pulling through the flesh and eviscerating this form in front of you. Next to you is a small young woman, another of your foundlings, recently brought into this community. DT is right next to you. She wears the strange, mismatched garb of the ferals, with her own twist. But she has claimed that this walking, undead corpse is her sister. And you've seen strange things before. And then you hear,
Achira is going to call over to DT. Go for Sweetum's head. And then Achira is going to step forward, and while the Romero, formerly known as Sweetums, is engaged with Sugar, is going to go with a slashing motion with the hatchet-like device that she has.
you are aiming at which Romero?
Sweetums.
With a slashing motion towards the head.
The neck.
The neck. And DT stands next to you, and together that you both strike. The head is severed, and immediately DT's scythe strikes down and penetrates the skull with a sickening crack. Sweetums' body convulses as the large, ponderous man jolts and then slumps onto the shattered tile floor in front of you. The generator room has been destroyed. There's a fire that's illuminating all of this in front of you, and smoke is everywhere. You're coughing, but Sweetums is very dead. And Honey turns and sort of pulls herself up. She's wearing all of these bits of fabric, trying to be colorful. She's been pieced together by DT to look like a living doll. And it turns to you.
Okay, no, stop. No. I can't take that, too. Don't talk to me right now, Sugar. Just follow me and DT. Okay?
It seems as though she hears you. And quiets. And follows you and DT.
We're going to be as stealthy as possible, as quiet as possible. We're going to get to Faith's office. I have a feeling that Faith, I don't know where Polly is right now, but she'd make her way to Faith.
This is what happens when you live in walls.
This is what happens everywhere, DT. I've lived outside of walls. I've lived inside of walls. The thing that I've learned, what it always boils down to, is that no matter what, you need people. And people are shit. They are. a lot of them. But whether they're outside of walls or inside of walls, however much time you spend, you're going to end up needing people. Let's get to Faith's office.
Okay. We'll follow you. I just remember you said that I can have some things.
A jacket. Yes, definitely. I actually have a couple that I've stashed in my little corner of the mall. One I was going to give to Polly, but she already has a jacket, so I could give that one to you.
More gunfire rakes across those that are outside the space that the two of you are sort of huddled behind. We should move carefully.
Carefully and quickly, just like it's on the outside. Don't let them see you. Follow me.
Sugar, be careful. And you and your companions, carefully and quietly start moving towards Faith's office, which is on the second floor of the shopping center. You're making your way here towards the escalators on the other side. I'd like for you to make a stealth roll, please, Achira.
All right, my stealth is 50. I got a 79. So I'm going to use competency to bring that down to a success. So yeah, I'll use 3 of my own.
All right. You're not currently in a location hazard.
All I said was
I've learned.
Quick on that draw.
Achira, so much is happening here. There's so much chaos being unleashed into the center of your community that it's fairly easy for you to stalk unseen in the shadows as you start creeping towards the escalator. I'm going to say that you do make it without drawing any attention to yourself, along with DT and Sugar. However, I will say that you're not noticing everything around you. If you'd like to spend additional competency points, you might notice something.
like one more.
Let's call that 2.
How many do we have in the community pool?
Currently, there are 7 within the community pool. I am sorry, there are 10 within the community pool.
I'm going to use 2 from the community pool.
Also, your community, Pine Haven, has been given a supply drop. We are creeping ever closer to our goal. You can see it there at the bottom of the screen. When the loading bar is full, something very special is going to occur. How many are you going to use, Achira?
2.
Very well. You see out of the corner of your eye movement, and you notice in the darkness the large figure of Arlo first, and then you see both Polly and Faith hiding underneath the escalator.
You're shot.
Oh, like a lot.
How dare you get shot?
It's not like I really wanted to.
Listen, where did it happen?
In my office. Don't go back up there. That place has been targeted.
Is one of them in there?
I think. Did we leave that guy? Did
I
Decker get him?
I think he's taken care of.
And dead?
Yeah.
Is he wearing the same uniform that all of them are wearing?
Yeah, but listen, Achira, they're not. They look like the shepherds, but they're not. They've got guns. The guy yelled at me. Like they're regular people dressed up like the shepherds for some reason, and I don't know what they want, but clearly they're attacking our whole fortress. This was a planned thing, and they're getting all our supplies.
They killed a bunch of my scouts and rigged them to explode. They took out the generator room. That's why we don't have any electricity, and it's not coming back anytime soon.
Great.
Trapper Sweetums. They're gone.
Sorry, Achira.
I don't know who or what these people are. They're dressed like silent sentinels, but you said that they speak. They're coming in through the north wall.
Okay. I saw the explosion as well. I mean, not to sound cocky, but there's at least like 4 of us now. I feel like we could take 5 of those guys out. I need to tell you, just in case this all goes very badly, that earlier Riggs did bring your scythe you've been looking for like a whole year up to my office. It's
My
up there.
hand scythe is in your office right now?
Yeah, but listen, you
DT,
really
stay
shouldn't
here.
No, no,
Sugar,
I mean, this is
stay
a whole
here.
Okay, there's like
People are
definitely
shooting
snipers
at
up there.
Faith's door.
Achira's going to try to stealth into the office.
Have fun dying.
This has literally been most of the last campaign that she was trying to get this scythe back. And she has another reason to
So
go
you're
into the office.
you're stealthing up now to the office because you've heard that this weapon of yours is held within it.
Well, she's looking around and she sees that it's not well lit going into the office, and there's a lot of other things going on now, and the likelihood that someone would think that someone would go back into that area is very low. So she feels like she has a good, pretty decent chance at this.
I respect your choices.
Mm.
Faith
Yeah.
and Polly.
Let me know if I'm going into a location hazard, though.
The moment that you step into a location hazard, you'll be the first to know.
Okay.
Faith and Polly. DT looks to you both. I like her. I hope she doesn't die.
Me too, but she's fucking crazy.
Aren't we all? Up on the roof,
Speaking of which,
you've thrown a single Molotov. Do you continue?
does it seem like it slowed them down at all?
It certainly caused them to try to regroup. They were counting on the cover of the darkness caused by the destruction of the generator.
Okay.
They've been shooting, and you've noticed now that what they're doing is they're targeting the fire pits, these large metal drums that they're shooting now so that they knock over and spill the fire forth and disperse the light so that they can't be seen and targeted. However, your Molotov has thrown a wrench in that plan as the floor is still burning from the oily substance that you'd placed within it.
There were 7 of them. How many are still standing?
There are 7, however, you've noticed that 2 more of the community have been gunned down.
Okay. From this point, can I also tell that they're the people in the robes that other people were able to recognize?
You have seen and heard of the missionaries. They're called a lot of different things within the wasteland. However, the most common word for them is shepherds. They do wear all black, almost immaculate black robes and armor. Although, these are all wearing featureless white masks. And as you're up there and you're watching them, you're still outside. And the wind is whipping around you. There's snow and it's blowing around you. Out in the north lot, you hear something. It sounds like the crackle of a radio, a speaker, and you hear music as it echoes through the parking lot. Sleigh bells ring. Are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight. We're happy tonight. Walking in a winter wonderland.
That is not good. I will get back inside to try and regroup with some other people.
The sound of it doesn't just come from one place. As you start to move inside, you scale down into the main mall. As you're going down, you notice that it's multiple speakers that seem to be moving closer to you. How do you get down into the main thoroughfare of the mall?
If there's any kind of like side hatch that previously employees would have used to get into the back of stores, I would like to. I would be pretty familiar with that system, and I'd like to climb down through one of them. I have posted up in what was some kind of like Radio Shack, essentially, and most of the things now have been rewired to be explosive traps. As there isn't a gate on it, it's instead just rigged with like a trap at the door.
You have been working with a man named Declan, and Declan is an echo, older, from the world before the fall. He was probably about your age when everything went to shit, but he's been a bit of a mentor to you. Not many of the other wild ones, the ferals, pay him much mind. He does know a lot about technology, and he's taught you a lot. He's been kind and has been careful about giving you too much knowledge. He's been cautious about his instruction to you because he doesn't want anything to fall into the wrong hands or to get misused. And he knows that you have a proclivity towards blowing things up. Others within this community have banded around him. There are a number of leaders within this group. Faith is from a group known as the Citadel and has taken the primary lead of the entire community. But that doesn't mean that there aren't others who hold some sway here. And I think given who you are and what you do, you and Declan are allies. So you've moved down this series of ladders that lead into service access tunnels. And they're behind the stores. And you make your way to what is the Radio Shack, where many of this group of techies sort of congregate. Much of the main weaponry of this place is sort of constructed here. A lot of the tools, the radios are repaired. There is a small garage where things are collected and a number of horses have been collected, but for the most part, gas has become a dwindling resource. It is biodiesel that's been created on other settlements, other communities. Very hard to come by these days. So when you make your way in, you don't see anyone. All the doors are open, all the gates are open, and it's very dark.
Would Declan typically be here, to my understanding?
If the community was under attack, Declan would be somewhere high with a sniper rifle, picking away enemies.
Great. So then I would like to go in to the like Radio Shack area, and I would like to try and pick up some extra devices.
All right. You do have a number of survival points that I've given you, and I'm going to have you deduct 200 of them
Okay.
to have a number of additional explosives that you've stashed away. When you gather these explosives, what do you do?
I'm going to head out the front carefully of that store and try and stealth around to see if there's been any breaches actually into the building yet.
All right. You step out very carefully. I'm not going to make you make a stealth roll here. I believe that you know your own terrain and you're very careful as you step out. There's a pony wall that is made out of concrete that overlooks the rest of the mall, and you stay close to that. You do see a figure, a dark figure, to your left, and there's a smear of blood.
Is the figure standing?
The figure's lying on the ground. You notice that there's a rifle next to them.
Is there a place that I could get to where I would be able to see the figure without the figure seeing me?
Yes.
I would like to.
You begin moving in that direction, maneuvering yourself so that you can see who is posted up against this wall. Achira. Someone's moving. As you're moving up the escalator, you hear very careful footfall. Now, I'd like for you to make a spot listen.
Oh my god, another 79. Different dice, same number. Okay. My spot listen is 49. That's 3 degrees of failure. I'm just going to let that roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do hear shuffling footfall, but you sort of lose track of it. Dialup, I'm going to have you make a spot listen now.
Okay, that is a 51 and my spot listen is 49.
Very close. That is effectively a wash. What would you like to do? Would you like to spend some competency points?
I would. If I can take one from the pool, I would like to take just one.
Yeah. You do hear movement coming up the escalator.
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
Do I sense any movement from the figure on the floor?
No.
None at all. I'd like to go for their weapon.
You start moving towards the figure and away from the escalator. And as you do, Achira, you turn the corner and you see the back of one of the wildlings.
I do a very low wildling call. I'm sure it's like a kind of like a whistle.
You hear it, and you know it's a signal, and it's behind you. I think you would even recognize it as Achira. So do you continue to go towards the weapon, or do you go back towards Achira?
If she can see my back, I'm just going to hold up a hand as just like I see you, I recognize that you're here, and proceed forward.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to take a defensive position where I have my back to her and am pointed down the other way, in a sense like watching her back.
You start moving towards Faith's office. There has been a supply drop given. We have friends in this apocalypse. So I think that when you enter into Faith's office, you see first the corpse of the individual that Faith was fighting. It doesn't look like any missionary you've ever seen. Heavily tattooed, piercings, colorful hair, shaved face, scars everywhere, large, brutish man, broken teeth, rough.
I'm going to, well, see, my plan is to dress as much like them as possible, get my hand scythe, and go hunting.
All right. You do see on Faith's desk, with a smear of blood, is a leather-wrapped package.
Of course, Riggs would wrap it. What a shit stain. Chira's going to pull open the wrapped package and get her hand scythe back.
As much of a shit stain as he may be, you can tell that this weapon has been refurbished. It has been lovingly honed, cleaned. Any rust has been removed. The handle has been rewrapped with fresh leather. And it has been completely renewed to the point where it is now a ×3 hand scythe and improved beyond its original capabilities. You look at this weapon and you know that Riggs and the blacksmiths at the Citadel have done masterful work in repairing it and making it whole again, because it had sat outside for quite a few months and was most likely nearly ruined when it was found. So it is there. However, there's also a number of crates that have been left here by the Citadel. Faith had made a very particular arrangement with them, and Faith had evacuated the room fairly quickly, but those crates are still present if you wish to open them.
Yeah, well, first, Achira's going to take a second and hold up her hand scythe that she's finally gotten back and see all the improvements and everything on it. And it takes her back for a second that Riggs would do that. And then she'll say to herself, okay, so I guess I'll kill him fast then, instead of slow.
Dialup, you've made your way towards the rifle. You're about to take it, and the figure grabs your hand. Yeah. I wouldn't be so quick. I'm not dead yet. And you recognize Deckle.
I immediately I check around us to see if the person who attacked them is here.
No, they're gone.
First aid.
Taken care of as many of them as possible. It just so happens that I don't know, one of the new pharaohs has helped me out. We were able to do some good here today. Faith is safe. I took one in the shoulder. So did she. Seems like we're even, huh?
Is it just the shoulder?
Yeah, yeah. And you start kind of prodding around. You can make a first aid roll if you would like.
Yes, please. I have some abilities in first aid.
Yes.
I have nursing and basic first aid training.
Okay, so that's going to actually modify your roll.
Okay. Yeah, so my first aid total would be 48, and I rolled a 34.
So you automatically are starting out with a number of degrees of success, and then you do have skills that are going to amplify that. I'm going to say that you do very effectively manage to patch up Declan as he lies there. Now, this is a gunshot wound. All you've been able to do is staunch the bleeding and to make him a little more comfortable with first aid. It's going to take time to be able to truly affect any sort of long-term healing. It doesn't happen automatically. These are very serious wounds. However, Declan seems to have been able to use his rifle with some amount of success. And the two of you are there on the top level. Once you complete this, I believe, Achira, you were in the other room. Did you want to search the area?
I'm going for those crates
Okay.
to see if there's anything I can pass out to other people.
Yeah, there's plenty of ammunition in those crates, but there's also a number of very powerful automatic weapons. 2 ARG machine guns and a number of pistols. These were clearly Citadel weapons, and they have been lovingly cared for. You have ammunition here that will last for a while, and there's also a single suit of Citadel armor here.
I'm already currently wearing Citadel armor, correct?
That is correct. It's seen better days, but you are wearing armor.
Okay. Well, first things first, Achira is going to disguise herself in the garb of these faux silent sentinels that are roaming around. She's going to take the 2 ARG machine guns and sling that as a crossbody on her back. Definitely replenish her ammunition.
Okay.
And grab an additional pistol besides the one that she already has. That's probably as much as she'd be able to reasonably carry.
You do all of that, but your community does have quite a healthy boon waiting for it should you make it out of this alive.
Well, then, let's make it out of this alive.
You step out and you see Declan. Dialup is aiding Declan.
I have some more ammunition. And do you know how to work a machine gun? Have you had a chance to yet?
I look at Declan, who I'm sure is going to say no, and I go, yeah, I think I could do it.
Here you go.
I will absolutely take one.
Declan just shakes his head.
I know what you're thinking, but all of the foundlings have limitless potential. All you literally have to do is give them a weapon and opportunity.
I'm all about giving them opportunity, Achira. I just worry about giving them a machine gun.
I'm already like strapped up.
Yeah, so you're strapped up. You're ready to go. You have this machine gun at the ready, and we'll come back to the three of you. Polly and Faith, you'd made some choices.
I would like to propose that during our year here, with so many of the feral kids in our group, that we all learned whistle call signs and a bit of hand signaling as a group. I'm gonna do a call and repeat signal from where we are. I know that's a little dangerous, so I'm gonna try to step like a little behind, like where we're hiding, and do a call sort of to the back of the room to see if there's any other people from our group around that could that are alive.
As she does that, I am just going to stay close and keep an eye out with my pistol in hand in case somebody does manage to pinpoint our location and come towards us.
I'm going to have you make a command roll, Faith.
Okay.
As you're gathering your resources and your troops together, and even though it's through a series of coded whistles, I believe that what you're doing is trying to direct your group. And I see 45. is your command currently?
It's 25, which is that's
You
insane
have the
strong.
gestalt to spend on that if you
I
wish.
do, sure. Let's
So
get that up.
we'll remove that, and I'll take those survival points away,
Okay.
giving you a 45 percentile chance
All right.
at that.
Listen, I did roll already though. That
Yeah.
was a 77. So
77 isn't going to be
No,
very good
that's-
for you.
okay, 45 5.
It's 3 degrees of failure,
Okay.
and you have 15 communal points currently
Oh
within the
hell
pool.
yeah, chat. All right.
And you also have, I believe, your personal that you
Yes,
haven't used.
I have quite a bit there. I'll dip into my personal first for the team. I'm going to go ahead and use just 4 competency points to make it 1 degree of success.
Okay, 1 degree of success. It does echo out, and you do get some replies. Although it does seem that your group is fairly scattered. Of the remaining 30 or so members of your community, you're only aware of the location of about 15 of them.
And all I've seen so far from that group that's sort of on the left there, have I seen how many? I've seen that there's 7 of them, or do I just see kind of like
You
a
can
couple of
see everything
bodies?
that is currently on the map. You've
Okay.
been able to assess the situation from hiding.
It's kind of a stretch, but would there be a whistle command for gather in the center or attack in the center?
Yes, you can have a gather command,
Okay.
and if you are able to direct it with a hand signal, you're going to be able to communicate that. Make another command roll,
Okay.
and let's see how well you do. The better that you do, the more that you communicate. However, you've rolled 90 what?
91. It's a lot. It's a lot. Very, very.
Okay, so you can't go beyond 5 degrees of failure,
Yeah.
and I would say that you are at 5 degrees of failure, which means that you do whistle, but the gunfire around you drowns out the whistling.
Okay.
And you can also hear that the figures out there have turned on these loudspeakers that they're carrying on their backs, and you hear, "In the whirling snow is glistening, a beautiful night," as this discordant, broken song, as if it's being played through broken tape, echoes through now your home and your community. You've seen things like this happen before.
Okay, we have to take them out. This is it. Yeah, there's enough of us. We can do this. There are all of these tall plants sort of between us and them. I would like to command our group to basically position themselves among all of the greenery to shoot from behind that cover and try to get these bad boys.
So you're going to cover kind of in the area where the gardens are.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I think we can do this. We all have rifle training at this point. We have pistols. We have enough guns. Hide among the leaves. And listen, Sugar and Spice, I cannot stress enough how weird all this is. But
DT.
yeah,
DT.
DT. Sorry, whatever. Like, okay,
This is Sugar.
got it. And I'm really bad at names. This is known about me. No offense. Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay. If you want to help, maybe hold back until they come forward. If you reveal your location, they're all going to come at you at once, and we'll be hiding.
I can hide.
Okay. So, hide, but if it comes to it, fight.
I'll hide. And if it comes to it, I'll kill them.
Perfect. You could be one of us yet.
Come on, Sugar.
I know, it's fucking weird. What am I going to do about it?
So you begin moving across the open space here to make and post up in the center with all of your troops. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I think we would probably go. Or these are also garden areas as well, so just sort of slide from the back area, not going across that middle area, but staying sort of behind the fountain.
Okay, so if you're going to do that and not be seen, I'm going to have you make a stealth roll, unless you would like to do something else. If you'd like to try to make just a dash for it, we could find a different roll. You could do an endurance, given your wound, or perhaps you can find another way.
I think I will leave everyone else to get there how they want. For me personally, let's see, what's my stealth looking like these days? I'm gonna do stealth. It's actually pretty good. I learned a lot from Achira back in the day.
All right.
Let's do this. Okay, that's a 33 under a 65, so.
I think you very easily make it through there unless you would like to spend additional competency points to improve it. All right. Polly, are you making your way there as well?
Yeah. I don't know if this would be possible at all, but this really weird music that is coming through, is there any way to use... They're using that cacophony to distract us. Is there any way to use that to our advantage as the rest of our group pushes forward?
You're trying to use the music as a distraction so that when you hear it again, that's
Dart
when you make
forward,
your move.
yes.
I think that does make a certain amount of sense, as it is noise that everyone is hearing, and since they are clearly in the middle of it, they're not going to be able to hear as well. Perhaps their senses are going to be a little thrown off as they're aiming their rifles, trying to find individuals to snipe at. So I will give you an advantage on this as you try to make that dart. However, you're just moving as quickly as you can to the space, or are you being quiet about it? There are advantages to both.
There are, yeah. I think that the only way that Polly would stealth is that if there was because these bursts of loud music are fairly short, if there was a midway point that she could hide behind and then get to the area. But if there's not, she's just going to dash for it.
Okay. Go ahead and make an endurance check.
Okay.
And I'm going to take into account that you're waiting for the right moment. When you hear this burst of music from the group and outside, because now you're all kind of recognizing that there are groups of these speakers somewhere outside, and it echoes through the space. And as soon as it does that, you bolt from your hiding spot. Faith has already made her way across a great amount of the space, but isn't quite there yet. Okay. You're going to run, you're going to get there first, but you're going to have to roll well to do that.
Okay. And this is with advantage, correct?
Well, there's no advantage in this game,
right.
But what it's going to do is I'm going to give you an additional degree of success.
Okay.
But if you roll badly enough, that will be removed.
Got it. Okay. One ran away. That is a 68, and I have a 33 to my endurance. So that's
You have a 33. So
3
that
levels of failure.
Okay, but you had 1 degree of success, so it's 2 degrees of failure, and you do have a number of competency in both the communal, and I believe you still have some competency remaining.
I'm going to use 2 of my own and 2 from the communal for 4 points to take that to 2 degrees of success.
All right, and just so that everyone is aware, there were at least 15. There are now 13 competency points in the communal pool available to you. They will carry over if you do not use them this session. However, I've also gained an amount of risk. And there has been a single supply drop for Pine Haven. There are other communities that can receive supply drops as well. But currently, Pine Haven is the only one that has received one, and we've seen some of the results of that. Now then, Polly, with this success, you manage to dart across. There is a burst of gunfire that follows after you, and concrete and old tile shatter as you end up diving the last section of this run into the concrete area that is covered by the fountain. So you just barely escaped this gunfire, as they seem to notice you after the fact, after you started to run. Faith, you are creeping your way along. And the 2 of you are going to regroup with a number of the other survivors within your community in just a moment. On the 2nd floor, the 3 of you are together. I'm imagining that all of you are ducked fairly low so that you can't be seen up here, correct?
Correct.
So it's you, Declan, and Dialup, Achira. What do the 3 of you do now that you've gathered together?
Do we hear the gunshot that just went off? The gunshots?
There's been gunshots and strange discordant music sporadically played this entire time.
Even within the mall?
Yes.
Okay.
There are intruders within the mall already. And you had thrown that Molotov cocktail at them earlier, but they have been pressing inward.
Okay.
I'm going to see how many of them that I can take down before they realize that I'm not one of them.
Okay.
If you can do cover fire.
Sure can.
Don't hit any of our own.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I know. I just had to say that out loud. You know, it was in my head, so I had to just say it.
Yes, I will not hit any of our own, and I will cover you.
Okay. And as many explosions as you can make, is the better.
And she reaches back into the satchel she wears on her hip and pulls out some of the things that she was able to gather when she returned back to the store. And she'll just kind of turn a little away from Declan when she shows them to her, just to be like,
I knew you had some hidden.
is there any safe point that I could throw them to that I can see by like peering over that kind of half wall carefully, that I would be able to even drop explosives that wouldn't hit people of our own or wouldn't destroy the crops that we need?
Well, I'm going to let you make a spot listen.
Okay, so I rolled a 59.
Okay.
My spot listen is a 49. And I'm a guest here, so I'm going to use a bunch of these pool points.
All right.
And I'll take three.
Three. You
Three!
take 3 points.
I want to be really aware of not messing this up. She did just tell me not to hit anybody. It would be so embarrassing if I did.
Right. It would be embarrassing if you blew up a companion.
Exactly.
You have allies within these survivors, and your usage of explosives is barely tolerated by many of the people here. So this would probably ruin it forever. You have 10 competency points remaining in the shared pool, and immediately you notice that Faith has started to gather together many of the remaining survivors in the center of the open pavilion of the mall near the gardens where the fountains are. So you might be safe to start dropping bombs into areas that aren't within that central area.
And not our food.
Not the food.
Not the
Not the
food.
crops.
Not our people.
Not the people. Yeah.
Everything else. That's theirs.
Everything else. Understood. So I'll ready up 2 of my explosives to stand watch until she gets somewhere safe.
Okay.
Yeah. And Achira's going to go become one with the shadows that she always does. Pulls out that hand scythe, and she's going to go hunting.
All right. So you're going to move quietly, start hunting. You're already in the garb that you were able to kind of gather together. There's some splatters of blood across it, and it isn't perfect, but it is going to certainly buy you a little time when somebody sees you for the first time. All right? Under close scrutiny, you're not sure if it's going to hold up. I'm going to tell you that now. But you do manage to start moving through the darkness, and you're in this kind of ragtag armor with this face mask on. And the thing that you notice about the face mask when you put it on is that it smells new.
Nothing in this world is new.
It doesn't smell as soiled and broken as you would expect it to. There's a freshness almost to it, like it hasn't been used for very long at all.
They made this specifically for this, for us.
And so you're making your way through, and Dialup, you're holding on to these 2 bombs. Are these timed devices, or do you think that these are pressure devices?
I think that they are pressure devices. And my intentions are, since they are gathering in the center at the point where the like garden is, I would like to throw one to either direction, furthest away from the center point to try and hit the back of the ascending army as far as I can.
These aren't aerodynamic objects. These are blocks, and
Yes.
there are effectively old tin cans that have been filled with a component that Declan has taught you how to make, and he calls it C4. And there are a number of wires in it, and it's a pressure device. So when it is struck violently by anything,
Yeah,
it's going to blow.
immediately.
Yeah, and so you've been told very clearly that once these wires are in place, it's live, and it's very, very volatile, very dangerous. And you have 2 of these. And so I'm imagining you've put the wires into place as you were taught, and you have these 2 tin cans. And while they are tin cans and they're fairly heavy and you can throw them, it's not like they're true grenades or have any sort of aerodynamic quality to them. I'm going to give you a couple of dice of difficulty to your throw.
Okay.
And that just means that the accuracy is going to be off. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to hit generally the area that you want, but it does mean that it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to be precise.
Okay.
Because when these hit the ground, as long as you don't drop them in front of you, they're going to cause something to blow up.
Yes.
All right. So given that, I'd like for you to make a single throw for both of them.
Okay.
Given that you've already described to me where they're going, I'm imagining you're leaping up, one in either hand, and in the middle of this, as this music rips across this open community and the interior of this old, ruined, destroyed mall, here's, and you jump up and toss these two bombs. Go ahead and make your roll.
Okay. So that is a 34.
It's
and
excellent. I do need you to additionally roll a single black die of difficulty. You're going to add that number to that roll. So you add
Okay.
5 to it.
So that makes it a 39. And my throw is a 44. Right?
You're gonna do
minus 4 on my actual toss, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to put it down to a 35.
Excellent. So you are still within the range of success, but it's not a great success. Would you like to do anything else?
Would taking one more point from the pool make that a pretty good success?
Why not?
Then I would love to.
You
Absolutely.
take another point from the communal pool, and both of these bombs hit the ground, and there are enormous fireballs that erupt from the center. Faith, you have no doubt who this is. You know that Dialup does this sort of thing, but you have only seen it in the field. As a member of the Citadel, this armed military unit that you were raised in, I mean, that was the world that you knew. And they taught you many of these tools and many of these methods of combat. It isn't necessarily the wrong way to fight, but if it's not directed and very carefully used, it's a very dangerous way to fight. And you've seen this in the field, but you've never seen it in the middle of your home. So there are explosions as one of the escalators groans and starts to fall downward, and you see a group of 3 of these intruders crushed by the metal that falls down on top of them, as 3 of the false silent sentinels are killed. Now, the second explosive that was closer to the North Gate entrance explodes and makes a massive crater in the ground, and 3 of the individuals here drop to the ground, not injured, but taking cover, as the others move forcibly away and smoke and debris clouds the area. You have the advantage for a moment as your opponents are blinded and confused. And when we return from our short break, we're going to find out what you do next. When we last left our survivors, they were fighting for their community, a fortress that was built out of the ruined remains of the Pine Haven shopping center. Opponents with machine guns have entered into your home, have begun to fire upon those that live here, killing a number of them, also placing explosives within the dead. Your generator room has been destroyed. That space, using old automotive engines and the ingenuity of a number of your community, was used to create some amount of modern comfort. Water heaters, some electric lighting. Things that you were able to use to give yourself a slim advantage in these dark times. And now, that generator room has been destroyed. A number of other explosions have rocked the shopping center, 2 of them from a member of your own community. However, those well-placed explosions have killed a number of the intruders and thrown the others off balance. Achira has donned the garb of these intruders. also disguising as one of these shepherds and has begun maneuvering into a position where she may be able to attack. Polly, you've joined the others, ready to lend whatever aid you can. As we're in the middle of this battle, we do have a very rough map of the Pine Haven shopping center available to us. Each of you is represented on this map, and I will place you in the areas that you have described yourselves in. Faith is represented by the blue dot. Polly, you're the pink dot. The orange is Arlo, who is covering you still from this area. These are your opponents here. Achira is on the second floor. Along with both Declan and Dialup. Second floor here, looking down. Your opponents have scattered. Many of them have been wounded. 3 of them have been knocked off their feet, and the other opponents that had gathered on this side of the mall have died under a collapsed escalator. What are each of your intentions? We'll start with you, Polly.
Polly is going to take advantage the minute that explosion happens. She's very used to acting quickly on her feet, will immediately dart out, try to get off a few shots at those 4 that are remaining, and then dart back in.
So you're going to fire your pistol. You can roll that. You are using the equipment that you have you've carried with you, which I believe has a modifier. Is that correct?
I do have a ×2 modifier to my pistol.
Okay, so you have a ×2 modifier. Go ahead and roll that. Give me 2 blue dice so that I know what your speed is, and we're going to use that for initiative.
Okay.
Faith, what is your intent?
Since I can't move quickly, I'm gonna just stay where I am. When I hear the noise and I see the 3 of those people fall down, I'm just gonna aim at their bodies with my pistol.
Okay, so you can make a pistol roll as well. Add 2 blue dice for your speed as well.
This is my pistol ability.
Achira, what is your intent here?
Dialup had waited for Achira to get into position before releasing the bombs. So
Correct.
Achira is behind the enemy and is about to go for the one that is closest to her with her hand scythe.
I'm going to say that you drop down by the entrance here. Does that work for you?
That works.
Okay. And there is a marker here. This is a risk marker. It's not one that you've triggered, but it's one that was triggered by your opponents here. A lot of noise has been made in this area.
Okay.
And out here, as you land and you look out the door, and you see, because it's all been reinforced, but one of the doors has been propped open, and you see all the barricades are on fire. And there are a number of the dead that are funneling in past the gates.
And the door is propped open right now?
The door to the shopping center, one of the large armored doors that have been kind of reinforced, is open.
Okay. So that risk marker,
Means that the dead are being drawn to the noise.
to this location,
Yes.
is this location, has it now become a location hazard?
It is not.
You almost got him to break on that one.
Oh, bless.
It is not a location hazard.
Okay.
However, if you were to step into the parking lot, you would find yourself in the middle of a location hazard.
Like just outside the door, like a step outside the door would do that?
No.
What?
You would step into what is the remains of the parking lot that lead to your home.
Okay.
Those barricades and the small collection of the dead that are pooling up. You hear the music again from the speakers. It's coming from the dead.
The speakers are attached to the dead, and the music is coming towards us.
Yes.
So there's some speakers on them, and then also some speakers that are on the dead outside. Okay.
It seems to be a domino effect of sound, and the dead are being drawn in by it.
That sucks. Okay. Achira is going to say to herself, deal with this first, deal with that next. When she goes to go behind this first person, she's going to take whatever's doorstop is out of the door so that it can swing shut, on its own.
The doorstop is a corpse.
Okay, so that's going to take a movement and action. She's going to go for this first person first and leave the door propped like it is for right this sec. Oh, okay, you know what? She'll go for the corpse. She'll go for the corpse to move the corpse out of the way.
You're going to succeed either way, but I do want you to make a lift pull.
I knew you'd say that.
This is going to determine how long it takes you. You wish to keep that die, but you've been rolling in your dice tray.
I have. 64.
You do have 13 communal points if you've exhausted all of yours.
Okay. Well, my lift pull is a 36. So that's, what is that, 2 degrees of failure? 36, 60, 64. Okay, it's 2 degrees of failure. I don't want this to take long. I'm going to have to use community pool points.
Are you going to use 3 to make it a degree of success or more?
I'm going to use 4 because 2 degrees of success seems like a reasonable amount of time, like just an action to pull a corpse from a door.
The more that you spin, the quicker this is going to happen.
No, 2 degrees of success is fine. That feels like that's
9 are remaining then in the pool. I'm going to spend 50 risk.
Okay.
You do so. That's going to be your intent. You don't need to make any other rolls. We don't need to know your speed. You're working on it. It's going to happen by the end of this round. Dialup, what is your intent this round?
So as the smoke clears, my intent is exclusively to keep a close eye on Achira and have her back, as I was told to. So I have my AR-10 out, and I am just closely watching her go for that door to try and take down anybody who might come towards her or might be at risk to notice her pulling.
All right. You're going to fire at any that come close.
Yes.
I'm going to make a roll.
As long as they seem like they are actively aware of her, because I do not want to alert them of her presence.
Yeah. There is one that is aware.
Okay.
The others are gathering themselves here, and they're pulling themselves up from the bomb that you have dropped. And the one that does notice sees the door and sees what Achira is doing and immediately starts moving in that direction. So you can go ahead and roll your rifle. You can roll 2 blue dice for your speed, and that's all. We'll see how you do. But let's go through and find out how the rest of these rolls resolve themselves. So you had made a few shots with your pistol, correct?
And it was 2 speed dice, correct?
That was correct. 2
Okay.
blue speed die.
So I got a 9 on my speed dice.
So that's fairly slow, but how did you do on your shot?
So I got a 42 and I have a 44. I'd like to spend one of my own competency and one from the group to make that 3 degrees of success.
Okay, so 3 degrees of success is very good. Go ahead, and do you have the damage on your pistol?
I do not.
With 3 degrees of success, you're going to roll 3 red die.
Okay.
And remember that this is a 5-sided die, technically. Whenever you roll a 6, that explodes and you roll it again.
Okay.
Meaning that you can do a great deal of damage if you roll well enough.
Come on. Well, I didn't explode, but I did do a good deal of damage. That is 10.
Okay, so each of those is a number separately.
Okay, a
So
5, a 3, and a 2.
A 5, a 3, and a 2. This individual here falls. Your shot is true, and you're not sure if they're dead, but they are certainly not moving. So
Got
you
it.
have a 3 on your speed.
Yeah.
How did your pistol go?
I had 1 degree of failure, so I'm going to spend 3 of my competency points and make that 2 degrees of success.
Okay.
I do not have, I guess, damages for pistols, also 3.
So go ahead and roll your 3 damage.
Okay, oh my god. 2, 3, 4. That's 4 total.
4 total. Well,
1,
yeah,
2,
it's
1.
fairly superficial because if they're wearing armor, it's probably not going to do much. However, you do hit your opponent.
Okay.
And so you see one of these armored false sentinels jolt backwards as they take a step and look in your direction with their mask, and they begin aiming in your direction as well. However, that was on a 3. You operated on a 9. Achira, you were pulling the door free. What was your speed die?
Okay, so one
That's
explodes.
yeah. So so roll that again. It's a 5, a 6, so 9. So
Alright.
you operated at the same time that Polly did. Go ahead and roll. What was your rifle strike?
My rifle strike is a 23. Is that just going to be under like long gun essentially?
long gun.
Okay, so that's a 45 for me.
Okay. So you already have 2 degrees of success. Would you like to add anything else to that?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how this mechanic works here.
If you
If
do
you
2
add
more,
enough.
If I had 2 more, I have
2 more, you get
2
headshot.
personal points left because I used one in the beginning. I'd like
You're
to
gonna
use
use those
both.
2?
Yes, I would.
So you kill your opponent because you shoot them in the head,
Yeah.
and their head, like a melon, just explodes outward.
Oh, sorry.
And another drops right here by the door. Blood sprays over your head, Achira, and hits the wall next to you as the gunshot rings out, and you turn back, and you just, out of the corner of your eye, you see what just happened. Somebody's head was removed, and they were very, very close to you. So somebody just saved your tail. Your shot fires, your opponent drops. Faith, you do hit your opponent, but it was center mass, and you think that they have armor on.
Got it.
So they're still standing. However, your opponents are scattered now. They're not organized. Faith, you have other individuals here. What was the command that you'd given them now that you're close to them?
Well, earlier it was to hide and fight from cover. I would say that if I could command through whistle commands again to just say, shoot to kill.
Okay. So go ahead. We're going to determine this by your command roll.
Hey.
Since you're in charge of these troops, let's see how well you inspire them to move forward and attack these opponents.
That's a 49 under a 45. So close. So I'm gonna go ahead and use some community points. I'll use 2.
Okay, 2 community points, and that's going to bring that into a success, although not a resounding success. It is a success. What we're going to do then is we're going to say that the survivors that you have nearby are following your lead, and they begin popping up from their hidden positions around the fountain and firing into their opponents. And I'm going to make a single roll for the remaining survivors versus a dodge from the opponents. And I'm going to say that this resolves itself in a back and forth of gunfire where neither opponent really drops. It's a sustained gunfight, and individuals are starting to take shelter behind structures. So these opponents here are moving over here behind these garden walls, trying to do their best to hide. This one is dead. This one was actually knocked over, and the other 3 here are standing, so they're here. And then additionally, we have another that's over in this area. Achira, you close the door at the end of the round, all right? And you do see that the dead are starting to gather in great numbers. This isn't a full swarm, but there are at least 30 to 40 dead that are starting to build up outside. And unfortunately, those speakers seem to be drawing more and more from the surrounding area. And every once in a while, you'll hear them fire off again, and that horrible, discordant song breaks through it all. You remember hearing this song over and over again during the holidays, and you haven't really heard it since, and now you hope to never hear it again. So that's the end of that round. I want to go back through. Let's find out what the intent for the next round is, right? Polly, what would you like to do?
Those 3 there, that concrete that they're hiding behind, I'm guessing that it is high enough that it obscures their heads.
They're low to the ground. I think that they've probably ducked below it, and you can see some movement, but you can't get a clear shot at their heads.
Okay.
But they are now low to the ground. Like
They
they've had to, because it's a pony wall, so it's only about 3 or 4 feet high. So they've had to kind of duck behind it.
I would like to holster my pistol, take out my large L, and if possible, I want to run up on them and smash their heads into that concrete wall.
Okay. The first thing that you're going to need to do is decide how you're going to make your way over there. Are you trying to stealth, or are you trying to just charge their...
I think I'm trying to stealth this time.
Okay.
I'm trying to be a little sneaky about this.
Please make the stealth roll for me.
Okay.
And then as soon as that roll has been made, we'll determine the rest of this. I do want you to also roll 2 blue dice for your speed. While you're doing that, Faith, what is your intent this round?
I think I'd like to try to make my way towards that group of 3 as well, maybe at the same time as Polly. And while she's attacking from one side, to try to come from the other side. So whatever way she goes, I go around the other side of the wall.
Okay.
I'd like to stealth as well over there.
All right, so go ahead and do the same roll. Make me a stealth roll, add 2 blue dice for your speed, and let's see how you do. I'll come back to both of you. Achira, you've got the door closed. In doing so, in that moment, many of the other opponents have scattered. There's a dead one not far from you, but you know that it's not going to rise because the head has just been shattered. You do see where the others are. What would you like to do? What's your intent?
Okay, so the one that is that has the red thumbtack on it,
Yes.
that person is also dead.
So any of the red thumbtacks are members of your community
Oh no.
that are dead and
Okay, got
have
it.
risen back and are currently Romeros that are wandering in that general area.
Okay. Okay. All right. Achira's going to go for the person that is by themselves, ducked in the wall, and I'm not gonna bother stealthing because I look like them, so they would think that I would be running to the same location.
Yeah, there hasn't been any direct action that was taken. The one that was coming towards you saw that you were closing the door, so something wasn't right about that. But the rest of them shouldn't react to you in any sort of harmful way, at least initially.
Yeah.
So
I'm going for running up, and I'm going to use my hand scythe to slash their neck.
I'm not going to make you make a roll for the attack, but I'm going to make you make a stealth roll to get close enough with your weapon drawn to actually draw it across their throat. Because I think that as soon as you got close to somebody with that action, that would raise some alarms. And also the weapon doesn't seem to be, they seem to be carrying machetes and machine guns. So the scythe might throw it off. So your stealth roll is going to determine the success of this. Do roll me 2 blue speed die just so that I can put you within the initiative order. Dialup, what would you like to do?
I would like to, as she goes with her scythe, depending on kind of the order that happens in, I would like to pinpoint anyone who notices her killing another,
Okay.
to eliminate anyone who might be aware she isn't one of them.
All right.
So it's to continue to cover Achira as my main.
No one seems to notice.
Okay.
And she seems to be getting very close. However, the dead are beginning to congregate towards the noise. And they're moving in, shuffling towards anyone that's close by, and a couple of members of the community that haven't made their way back to where Faith and Polly are have been taken over by their fallen survivors. And you see them scream as their flesh is rended by the freshly risen dead. And they fall. So things are happening over on that side. Do you wish to just hold your action and cover Achira? Or do you wish to do something to aid the others that are being attacked?
Where is Declan?
It's a good question. Where is Declan?
Is he being useful?
There was a couple of cracks of rifles and some sniping that had happened earlier, but that stopped. And it's very quiet now.
Would asking him a question take up the time that I have to act?
No?
Great. Isn't there any kind of technology thing that can, the speakers on them, make them blow up? There has to be something, right?
Well, I don't think we can make them blow up. But you do bring up a very good point. They seem to be broadcasting that signal. It's a radio signal. And if we're able to interrupt it, we may be able to save ourselves from the nightmare that's coming after that music. They're drawing the dead to us. They're trying to ruin everything that we've built. Do you think you can get me back into the Radio Shack?
Yeah.
If you can, there might be something that I can do.
Okay. So then I'll utilize my action to cover Declan to try and get back in. Would that in any way have us passing anywhere Achira is to let her know that I am no longer there for cover?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just go for a hand signal again to show that I am moving.
I'm going to give that to the two of you for free because Achira was very aware of where you were. You know you're flying without a net now.
Got it.
You're on your own.
Achira gives a corresponding signal.
I think that those communications are more than fair, all right? So you pick Declan up, who is shot and pretty badly wounded. He leans on you and kind of carries his rifle underneath his arm, and the two of you start moving back towards the Radio Shack. That's your full action. You don't need to make any rolls. You've done this. If it's a sustained action, I might make you make a lift pull or an endurance, but for now, I think you're fine.
Okay.
So let's go back to Polly and Faith. How did you do on your rolls?
My speed die was an 11, so very slow.
Very, very slow on the draw this time.
Yes.
Mine was a 7. for
Mine's
speed.
a 2.
A 2. So let's start with Achira, and we'll walk our way through
Sure
here.
thing.
So, Achira, you make yourself very, very visible as you get close to this individual. How'd you do on your roll?
I got a 1.
Oh my god.
I got a 1.
Okay, so that is
I'm
the
like-
best possible roll that you
I
could
can't
have
even
made.
imagine. I got 1s on the speed dice, and I got a 1. A total of 1.
Oops, all
It's
ones.
because I have the hand scythe back. It's because I have that back.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
I think,
I'm like crying right now.
yeah, I think that you being reunited with this
Oh my
weapon
God.
has proven to be a very lucky moment for you because you've stepped forward and you've completely and silently slit the throat of this false silent sentinel. And the body slumps to the ground and you sort of like lay them down, and no one is the wiser that you've done this. And there's a pool of dark blood that kind of fills in the darkness around you, and the kicked over trash cans that have that were originally the fire pots that were kind of in this general area are just scattered, and there's just that false sense of illumination that comes from those burning embers on the ground as they start to die out. But you see behind the mask's eyes the person that you've killed. They look at you, and there's a terror, recognition, and then acceptance of their fate as their eyes go dark.
Okay. Since this is the best roll that I've ever done in my life, by it being the worst roll that I've ever done in my life, is there anything additional that I can have for this? Like, I have a machine gun.
Location hazard just for Christmas.
I will give you a slight advantage on your next move, whether that be to stealth from this position or whether you attack from this position, given that you have done this so perfectly. Like an assassin in the night, you've arrived, subdued your target, and you're ready to move on. Let's hope that your luck continues to hold out. As for the two of you, you didn't do as well with your speed dice, and I'm taking it from your expression you didn't do as well on your roll.
Oh, I'm great. I'm doing great.
How
How
you
many in the community pool do we have of competency points?
Are you asking for Polly or for yourself?
Oh, for me.
Oh, I'm
How-
doing
how are
great.
You doing?
You go ahead.
Oh,
Faith.
great. Well, I think I went a little faster than you, right? You're
Yes, you
we
did.
we have, I believe, 12 remaining,
That's
given that 2 others were used recently. So you have 12 points remaining.
That's fine then.
Okay.
So I rolled 2 degrees of failure on my stealth check. I will go ahead and gladly take 3 from the pool to have 1 degree of success on that.
All right. And so, with just a single degree of success, you can roll your damage
Okay.
on the gunshot.
Hmm.
I will remind you that if you wish to pump additional competency points into your successes, you can escalate what is done and trigger effects, such as the headshot that was affected earlier.
You know what? I think chat was very generous, and it is Christmas, so I'm going to take a little more competency. So instead of taking just, 3, I'll go ahead and take 5. Sorry, everybody.
So that's going to push it all the way
Yeah.
up to 3 degrees of success?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so do roll your damage, but it is going to be an exceptional shot, and you're going to utterly disarm one opponent. All right? So you're firing into this group here?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is knocked down, shot, and disarmed. Their gun clatters. This is a dead opponent. Where did Achira go? Right here. Achira is here, and there are 2 remaining.
Okay.
Polly?
I got a 29 on my stealth, so 1 degree of success. I'm going to keep that how it is because I want to save my competency for the actual hit in case something goes wrong.
All right. So you're attacking with your melee weapon. Is that
Yes.
correct? So go ahead and do, what is it? You want to do like a bashing attack?
Yeah, I would love to do blunt.
Blunt. So roll your blunt as you smash down with this like heavy L from the Claire's sign.
Okay.
And you smash across your opponent's head.
Yes. That is a 25. I have a 47 to blunt, so that's 2 degrees of success. I'm going to use 2 competency from my own to make that 4 degrees of success.
All right.
Nice.
You smash this individual's head in. They fall backwards and there's a cracking noise. And you see blood gush as the white mask breaks inward and begins to saturate and leak these pools of dark blood. The figure drops to the ground. There's one opponent left who looks at you immediately, Polly, as you've leaped down in front of them, smashing. However, that's the same individual that Faith has shot. And they jolt and fly, hitting the garden, breaking the trellises, and rolling over into the area where Achira is. This body shot. You hear a gurgling as they're holding on to their neck, and you heard the crack of a pistol not far away.
Attack of opportunity.
If you wish.
Just gonna.
There is no attack of opportunity.
I know there.
But for
I know
flavor,
there isn't for flavor.
I'm giving you this. What would you like to do?
Hand scythe.
The hand
Right
scythe
there.
comes down. How are you? You're going to slit their throat?
Yep.
Another throat is slit as Achira finishes the job. The speakers continue to crackle.
I would.
Walking in the winter wonderland. And let's go to Dialup. You and Declan make your way into the radio shack. There are a number of CB radios up against the far wall. All right. I'm pretty badly hurt here, kid. I'm gonna need you to help me get this to work. We gotta find the right channel.
Okay.
We don't have a lot of time, and they're gonna know if I start scrubbing it that I'm trying to jam them. We can block this signal, and if we can, that means they're not going to be able to play this detestable music through those speakers. We can keep them silent for a while, and then maybe we can clear the speakers out just in time before the dead start to gather too heavily. Go ahead and pull those wires together.
I will.
You start kind of wiring things up as he starts pointing
Yeah.
to things.
And I watch Declan so closely in everything that he does normally that I'm trying so hard to, for maybe the first time ever, act with the precision that Declan does.
That's good. Yeah, that's the right way. Let's see if we can fire this up and get it to work.
Okay, yeah.
There's a crackle and a pop as the CB radio comes to life, and there's a little bit of feedback at first, and you hear all of the music from in the main space of the mall. It immediately stops. All right.
I think we did it.
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay. How do we stop them from getting it back?
He falls back, and you can see like he's holding onto his shoulder pretty hard, and then like you can see the blood through the bandage that you put through is seeping. Oh, where's that mud of yours? I haven't seen your dog. Usually, anybody gets close to us, we hear that damnable mud. I mean, I know I complain, but I kind of felt like we would have been protected.
When I went up to the roof, I left him in the back. The tunnels.
Oh, you were on the roof.
Yeah. I went up to the roof to try and see what was happening. He was in the back tunnels. I didn't want to bring him out here.
That's unfortunate.
What do you mean? What do you mean that's unfortunate?
You saw the tower, didn't you?
Yeah?
There's the crack of a rifle.
If I've still got my hand on the radio, would like to try and just crank it really hard to cause feedback, because I, in my bed swing, have a Furby. And if you put a Furby near a very loud, high-pitched noise, they implode. And I'm going to tell you that is fact, and it's 1995, and this is the most crucial piece of information I have.
I'm going to allow it. But I'm going to need an additional roll from you.
Okay.
You didn't see this coming. You never would have thought that he would have done this. And so when Declan levels his rifle and fires it into your abdomen, I think everything kind of goes silent. You turn the knob and you try to get this feedback to throw back into the speakers.
Yeah.
Make a dodge check.
Okay, so if I've landed on the zeros.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
That's 9.
Okay, so that's just 9. I feel like that's got to be a pretty good dodge. My dodge skill is 51.
Yes. It's quite a few successes. By my count, that's 4 degrees of success, which is exceptional. It doesn't mean you don't get shot. It just means that you do not get fatally shot as you've pulled yourself away. In this game, dodging bullets doesn't really happen. And if somebody was near you with a gun that you were aware of or alerted to the fact that they were a danger, that would be one thing. But all he did was lower his rifle when you weren't expecting it and fired it into your midsection. You did pull forward and you turned the knob. And as you did, feedback rocks through all of the speakers that are out there, and everyone hears it. However, it could have been a lot worse. And you're wearing armor.
Yeah.
What is your damage threshold?
Would you mind helping me? What is my damage
Yeah,
threshold,
it's
actually?
gonna
It's a
be a
7.
You have a 3, a 3, and a 1.
Ooh.
There's a hot thud against your armor, and you feel it crack as you're thrown backwards. You're not bleeding. You see the slug. Declan's eyes narrow. What would you like to do?
I would like to take out one more explosive.
Here we go.
Oh, God.
I'll kill us both, and you know that. It sounds like you're pretty important. I think those people out there need you. And the people on my side don't really need me.
I wish this had ended differently. I like you. But kid, you blow us both up, it's not gonna stop anything.
But it sure would suck for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It'd be rough. I've made it a habit to survive. I was just a kid when everything went south. Not much older than you. But I did learn something in all my years. When someone's hand is shaking as much as yours is, they're bluffing. What's your intent?
I'm gonna throw it. I'm gonna throw it to the wall behind him.
Okay. You know how small the space is?
I do. The dog's not in the room. I'd like to very much clarify. The dog is not in the room.
What is your dog's name?
The dog's name is Spike.
When we first created your character and talked about the fact that you had a dog, everyone announced that I was going to kill the dog.
You killed the guest instead.
They forgot all about you. Spike is not here. You are, but you are quite alive.
And I am not wounded, and he is.
You are not wounded and he is, and you've just thrown this bomb.
I would like to try to slide out while I throw it, but fully knowing that it is highly unlikely I can.
Two things are going to happen. We're going to make a roll. Your roll is going to be your throw,
Okay.
and then you're going to make a dodge.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to make a contested roll, and it's my long gun,
Okay.
as Declan is going to try to shoot your hand
Okay.
as you throw this.
Yeah.
And if Declan succeeds over you,
Uh-huh.
you're not going to throw the bomb. You're going to end up dropping it,
Okay.
which would be very, very bad for both of you. But in this situation, it's bad for both of you either way. The only person that's probably going to live through this, possibly, would be the person that's not in the immediate vicinity of this thing dropping.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it can be both of you. So let's make some rolls.
All right.
We're going to start with 2 blue die, all right? You're also going to roll your, we said that you were starting with your throw, and then we're going to roll dodges, all right? And so I don't think we need any dice of difficulty or anything like that. I think we should just let it ride. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's see how we do.
Great. It was just 2 speed dice?
2 speed dice. All right. So how did you do on your throw?
On my throw, I have not rolled. Okay, that's a 24 on my throw, and my throw is a 44, and I will use as many of those points as I have to.
So you have 2 degrees of success. Do you wish to use additional degrees of success for
Yeah,
accuracy?
Absolutely.
There are 7 points remaining. How many do you want to use?
I'm going to take 3.
You're going to do
That's-
5 degrees of
that's the
success, which means
maximum.
you're hitting the wall exactly behind him.
Uh-huh.
Okay? He does fire.
Uh-huh.
He's very slow about it, though. Maybe it's the wound. Maybe he didn't expect you to actually throw the weapon, but this happens after it's in the air.
Okay.
And then he shoots,
Uh-huh.
and he hits your hand.
Okay.
I know you're armored, but I think that because of the amount of successes that he had to hit your hand, I think he's hit an unarmored spot.
Okay.
So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to roll the damage for it, and it's not going to go across your entire body. It's a very good shot. I'm going to say that you've lost the use of your right hand for now.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
Yep.
And we'll deal with the details of that later.
All right.
But the gunshot does go through your hand as the bomb flies through.
Okay.
And then you were going to make a dodge to try to get out of here. He's also trying to roll. I don't know how much this is going to assist. Not great. We'll see.
Ooh, that's so bad. So it's a 92.
Oh, God.
I wish I had used one less on the throw in hindsight, because I forgot about the dodge.
So you can only have 5 degrees of failure in total, and you're there. However, you can try to build yourself out of that. I'm afraid to say that the competency points in the pool are dwindling very, very quickly, and there's a lot happening.
So my dodge threshold is a 51.
So you're only 4 degrees of failure.
Uh-huh.
So what would you like to do?
How many do we have left in the pool?
Currently, I believe the count is right, there are 8. You have been granted additional competency points, I believe. Someone is looking out for you.
I would like to get out of the range of failure.
Okay. So how many are you using?
I have been given approval to take 5.
You're going to take 5
I
competency
am.
points. That brings it down. The pool is now at 3 competency points remaining. And you dive backwards as this explosion rocks through the radio shack, destroying everything. Now, you have dodged. But that doesn't mean that you escape an explosion unscathed. Everything begins to topple as a portion of the ceiling collapses. And this fireball sort of rocks through the area. You do see Declan throw himself forward, and there's a metal cabinet that he pulls down as everything explodes. You don't know if that's going to be enough to save him. He's in the middle of this. And you are on now the outskirts and blown outward. Through the door and out onto the second floor landing. Your back hits the concrete with a thud. And you feel burns across your body. There's fire and debris in front of you. Everyone else who's on the first floor, the radio shack, just lit up.
Shit. Not great.
I wonder if it was them or... I don't know. That was a big explosion.
Achira's going
I
to
don't know
start
if we're
running
next
for
to
the
each other.
radio shack.
Okay.
There's an undead close to me right now, right?
There are a number of the Romeros still moving about. And Achira, you start moving this way?
I'm going to run towards the radio shack. Is that
It's up this
screeching-
escalator.
That screeching noise, was that just
Still
a one-
going.
It's still, yeah,
It's still going.
We've got to get
It
that
is-
turned off.
Rocking through all of the speakers that are surrounding you now and outside.
Yeah.
And the dead continue to gather out there.
Mm-hmm.
At first it was silent. It sounded like something stopped it. And then it got worse.
I
So
would-
what do you want to do?
If I see Achira going, I would follow along with her. I think now that mostly our opponents are done down here at the other community can get the rest of the Romeros.
I'm also running. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got to get that sound off. I saw outside. They've got speakers attached to the dead, and they're just drawing more and more of them. We're going to get trapped in here. And we don't know how long these walls will hold then.
No time to talk about it then.
Yeah. Let's
And
go.
that explosion, I'm pretty sure that was Dialup.
Yeah, there's no way it wasn't.
Run.
Okay. Where are you headed?
I'm headed up towards the Radio Shack as well.
Radio Shack?
Yep.
Radio Shack. The three of you gather together. Some others start gathering, and some survivors are coming with you. All of you begin heading up the escalator. Dial-up.
Dialup is still on the ground on her back, kind of trying to get to her feet if she can, in front of the fallout. Declan did it. And the tower, it's important. There's a tower, and it's I think we have to destroy it or stop it, or this is how we stop it.
Declan did this?
And I just show the mark in my armor from the gunshot, and I go, yeah, that asshole shot me.
I always knew he was
I
a piece
knew
of
it.
shit. Let's go to the ceiling.
Him, and also Arlo. I know y'all love everything that he's done for this place. I don't trust him either.
Arlo's not with us, is he? Is he so down?
Arlo's making his way up the escalator, and he stops when he sees all of you, and he sees the Radio Shack, and he just sort of looks at all of you.
Arlo, come here.
He looks to you, and then back to you, Faith.
I bring up my gun. We need to talk right now.
Okay.
Hold it on him. Achira's gonna go pick her way into the Radio Shack because we've gotta turn that sound off.
I mean, it is a mess.
We can't leave that sound on.
Okay, so you look at this, Achira, and there's a chance that maybe the radio is alive somewhere in there, but most likely it's buried. So how much time do you wish to spend doing that?
Well, if is there any other way to stop this feedback noise then? Because
Destroying the speakers would work.
we've got speakers attached to the dead outside. We've got speakers attached, to people here. We have to stop the signal. We're not going to be able to get all of these speakers.
All right.
All right, so the choice is entirely yours. You do have a number of options, but either one of them is going to take time. So I'm going to leave it to all of you to decide how you're going to stop it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In the rubble, are we able to see that metal cabinet that Declan pulled over himself?
You just see rubble.
Because in theory, that radio was right in front of him and could potentially have been under that. But if it would take time to even dig out to the point of getting to where Declan could be.
Yeah.
Okay, there's probably a lot on top of him.
I mean, it's not impossible. I'm simply saying that it will take time.
Right.
And you've got Arlo.
Mm-hmm.
So do the two of you wish to start digging while you question Arlo? There's other survivors around you. They're asking questions. They're curious about what happens next. What do we do? Do we secure the walls? They want to know what to do.
All right, everyone. You two, go ahead and keep looking for that radio signal to turn it off if you want. I think that we need to have people on the roof trying to sniper off some of those Romeros that have the speakers on them.
Do you
Your
think-
way- go ahead.
Do you think we can have some of the people start digging down to the radio, and then maybe me and Polly can go for this tower that Dialup just told us about?
He was really concerned that I had seen the tower.
Okay. Let him know where it is. I'll go up with Arlo. You're fucking come with me. Don't get out of my sight. And I'm going to take a couple of the other community members up to the rooftop to start trying to sniper down some of those zombies with the speakers.
Look, boss, I didn't do anything. I don't know what this is about. I was just trying to help.
We don't have time to interrogate you right now. Just follow me.
I don't think you need to interrogate me. I'm just trying to
Arlo,
help.
do you think this is the time right now?
What
Do you
did-
think any of this is the time right now?
I just... He starts to sort of sputter over his words as he looks down, and he just stops.
Achira looks over at Faith, and you can see that she's just kind of holding her scythe and staring you in the face and looking over at Arlo.
Arlo, you have nothing to do with this. We will figure it out. But if you did, you have to pay. So for now, we're going to just table this. We have a bigger fish to fry. Either way, The truth will come out.
Does he have any weapons on him, visibly?
Yes.
Good point.
I would like to walk up and take any guns off of him or weapons.
Yeah, he has a couple of large swords that are strapped to his legs. They're like short swords. You pull these off, and then they're just like these hacking weapons. You take them, and you take his guns. And he has a couple of pistols and a rifle. And you've disarmed him. He doesn't fight against anything. He just stops. He's looking to all of you. He's clearly very intimidated, and he just sort of looks down. He does stop at you, though, Polly.
After Dialup finishes disarming Arlo, Polly looks quick glance over to Achira and then walks up to Arlo, takes him by right underneath the elbow.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be okay.
He didn't do this. I don't believe her.
I don't know. Are you sure?
Yeah, he shot me from point blank range. I think it was him. Yeah.
I mean, she's always been
What have I always been?
difficult. You've always been difficult.
But she doesn't lie.
How do you know?
She doesn't lie to me.
Well, he never lied to me.
Arlo, maybe... You know what? Maybe you had nothing to do with this. Maybe Declan didn't tell you. Maybe you're innocent. Fine, we will figure this out later. We have to take care of the immediate problem, which are the crowd of Romeros outside, the noise, and the Romeros wandering around inside our building.
There's
Do you
a lot
want
of
to
noise.
die?
No. I'll help. I just let me do something.
Fine. I assign him to another member of the community. Just watch him, and just don't give him any weapons for now, but have him help you.
Are Bebe and TV maybe one of the...
You haven't seen Bebe and TV since they were put on guard duty, which was with Sugar. The only person from that group that you've seen is Sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually see the two figures, both DT and Sugar, moving around, picking things up from the dead, looking at them, gathering little bits and bobs here and there.
DT,
June's
Sugar,
back.
if you can help clear this rubble out of the way, we've got to stop this noise. Myself and Polly are going to run to this tower to try to take that down. After you get this noise stopped, I have that jacket for you.
Sure, I can help.
Hang on. You had that behind a gate, and that was one thing. Now you're going to have it near our people, helping our people. There aren't many left of them.
It hasn't done anything against us so far. These other people have. What do you expect?
Neither has Arlo.
Arlo,
And he's one of us.
Arlo's with Declan, and Declan
was
is
one
a
of us,
traitor.
too.
We can't
Declan
trust
saved your
Arlo
life. Why is he a traitor?
because he shot Dialup.
Says her.
Everyone, I hate to keep reiterating the same things over and over again, but we will have a great sit down in just a moment as soon as we secure our property, unless you all want to get eaten by Romeros in the next 10-15 minutes. I understand you don't like any of this. I don't like any of this shit either. It all sucks. It's always going to be bad. There's always going to be betrayal. I don't know who's telling the truth right now, but we can't know until we sit down and talk about this in a rational way.
Maybe there will be information at the tower. Maybe that will tell
We'll
you something. How would I
go.
even know that he doesn't want us to see it?
We'll go. I just think that the group who is being helped by Sugar should decide whether or not they want to be helped.
Okay, fine, Polly. Your point is well taken. DT, can Sugar do something else helpful away from our people?
I mean, she could.
And
but
then also, any of the ones that are dressed like me, Sugar can eat.
Well, I can't feed her right now. I have to figure that out. You took her jaw.
I'd like to just go to like one of the emergency exits that leads to those kind of employee hallways behind the stores and kick it open and call for Spike.
All right. Yeah, you're shouting for Spike. There's no response. You'll have to probably go down those corridors, find out what's holding up your dog.
You son of a bitch. I'm just gonna like, so it doesn't look shady that I am leaving. Spike isn't coming when I call.
Is this in the opposite direction of the towers that Dialup showed us, or is it in the same direction?
It's in the same direction, at least now.
You can go together.
We can look out for him.
Okay, yeah.
It's
I'm
fine.
sure he's fine. This is a lot of noise, and dogs don't like high-pitched noises.
Right.
Yeah, let's go.
I know you don't want to hear this from me, but I wouldn't send anyone with her if you don't want them to be hurt. Not alone, at least. I'm just saying, the bomb went off. That's what caused all this damage here. And preventing the radio from being turned off. Maybe she didn't want it turned off. Maybe she didn't want Declan to stop it. That makes more sense to me.
Why? Why does that make more sense to you?
All you do is destroy things.
Who taught me how?
We have to go.
Arlo, go. Go.
Fine. And Arlo leaves the two of you. Do you go with Arlo?
I will head
You're
towards
stay
the
around?
tower
Okay,
with
that's fine.
Achira.
Okay, so you're going to move. All right, so the three of you then are headed towards the tower. Are you going as well?
I think I would lead point on. No, I'll go with them. I would send another group to go do snipering from the rooftops.
I'm going to remind you that you've been shot. So you're able to do that, but I want you to make an endurance check.
Okay.
You can make these, you can still travel. And in fact, this isn't the first time that Faith has been shot. So you're able to power through this, but you need to be aware that you're not going to be able to do everything that you normally could.
That's 2 degrees of success somehow.
Okay, so yeah, you've kind of gritted through the pain. And you're even able to move your arm a little bit more than you were before. You're going to pay for this tomorrow, but you're all right now.
It'll be time for first aid checks tomorrow. Let's go find this tower.
Dial-up.
Yeah.
Did Declan turn on this screeching noise, or did you do that?
I did that
Why?
because I thought it would short circuit them. I was wrong. But I did that, and I won't lie to you about that. He shot, and I thought it, if I was gonna die, at least it would help, and it didn't. And I'm so sorry.
We've got people on it now, and maybe us taking down this tower might help stop this signal as well.
I'm sorry.
I completely understand. Go ahead first. It's okay, Dial-up. We'll find Spike, and we'll get this tower.
Okay.
Show us the way.
I'll lead the way.
You start moving through the corridors. Are there only the 4 of you, or did you bring additional survivors?
I think it's just us 4.
And the rest of the survivors are shoring up the defenses and dealing with the dead.
And also bearing through the rubble. They're trying to get to the radio to switch it off.
The radio is priority?
I would motion that the radio is priority.
Yeah, I would say that would be 1. The backup would be shooting their mirrors from the rooftop, and then everything else would be securing.
I'd also like for them to know that Declan is in there somewhere, and I don't know if he's alive.
You say that. There are some missing within your group, and you do your best as all of you walk through these corridors to communicate. However, you know that with the radios down and the lights out, you're in a very vulnerable position. This tunnel's very dark. Do you have any source of light that you bring with you?
I believe we would.
I think I have one of the lanterns from earlier. From my office area. Lead the way.
Yeah.
I'll help light.
And I'll take the path that I took in earlier down that kind of like hatch to get into the mall when I initially saw that we were being attacked.
And where is Spike typically in all of this? Like you didn't have Spike, obviously, climbing ladders with you, but you had Spike in another area of the mall. Can you describe that to me?
Yeah, so in those back halls that connect the back of the stores to bring in shipments and things like that when it still stood, there are various lounges that employees could gather in on rest breaks. And I had left Spike in one of the lounges, or what once was.
All right. So you make your way, you find the ladder that leads up, and the lounge is a little ways off from this ladder. Do you wish to go and explore the break room, or do you wish to go to the roof?
I don't want to hold anything up, but I would really like.
Just call out for him.
I'll call for Spike again. It's a whistle.
You whistle. And this time, you hear a bark.
Okay.
But it's not coming closer.
Oh.
Again, the bark.
I run.
You start running towards the bark.
We should follow her. There could be anything back there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The three of you follow after.
Can I hang back a little?
You may.
Okay.
Achira, Faith, you're going to continue to press forward.
I will.
I'll go in the middle.
All right. You come upon the break room. The door has been blockaded. There are a number of crates that have been leaned up against the door, and the door is closed. What do you do?
Dialup, this is a trap.
I know.
I think we need to, I'm sorry to say, but I think we need to leave Spike for now.
Spike continues to bark on the other side of the door. There's a whine.
The tower is up that way. If you take the ladder and you head out across the parking lot, you'll see it.
If you try to go in there, you're gonna trigger something, and you will probably die. This is a trap. They put this dog in here. They knew it was one of ours, and I would hear it.
Can I listen at the door and just hear if there's any other rustling around, like a person in there?
Does Spike have a collar?
Yeah.
It's made out of junk and pieces that you've cobbled together.
A piece of the metal from my armor.
You hear that clattering, and you hear a scratching at the door and a whine as Spike rubs against the door, sniffing heavily.
Hey, bud. It's okay. It's okay. And I can't hear anyone else in there, right?
Doesn't sound like anyone else is there.
Okay. Right, okay.
Tell us what you want to do.
They must have gotten out somehow if they trapped it somehow. There's a path around the trap somehow. It exists. They barricaded themselves in there, but I don't hear anyone else in there. So if it's an explosive device that would activate by the door opening, there is a way around it. There has to be.
I'll give you 10 minutes. We have to take care of the tower.
Please go on without me, and I will take my time and I will try to disable the trap. And if I blow up, then I bought myself a little bit of time from when I thought I was going to, so that's cool. And I'm feeling kind of lucky today. So
When I came here, and we all came here and made this place, it was to escape the Romeros. It was because we didn't really have a lot of choice, but we also wanted to make our own decisions about how we wanted to live, how we would die. If this is very important to you, you can stay. You can try to figure this out. Take your time, don't die. But I'm not going to stop you. Achira, you can stay and help her. I've got to do what's best for the community. I need to go to the ceiling or the roof.
You should go with her. You should go with her. It's okay. I'll hang back, Achira.
Will you?
Yeah.
Thank you, Polly.
Anything for the community, right?
The two
If
of you.
anything
Go ahead.
happens, our 10 minutes pass. Come to the tower. Both of you. All three of you.
Yeah.
Polly, promise me.
Been through worse. I promise.
Okay. What happened to your jacket? Okay, I know that's not important right now. Faith. Dialup.
I can do it. Traps, I'm good at this. I can do this.
All right, we'll see you in 10.
Okay, 10.
10.
Let's go.
Faith and Achira make their way towards the tower. And we'll see what you discover next week. But let's resolve the situation that Dialup and Polly have found themselves in the middle of.
Okay.
What are your intentions here?
Okay, so the crates that are barricading the door, I'm able to see, if I'm able to see that, I must have at least a crack of vision, right? To see that it's crates barricading the door? Or is it just the feeling of pressing up against it?
So there are crates on the front of the door. You
Okay.
saw them when you came up. They're blocking the door themselves. So you can still see the door, portions of the door. You can hear Spike on the other side moving back and forth and sniffing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that he's right there. You hear the jingle of his collar. And these large boxes have been stacked here.
Mm-hmm.
They're shipping crates.
Sure.
A couple of them are wood. One of them seems to be made out of some kind of composite plastic. But it's under the others.
Okay. The first thing I'd like to do is smell for gasoline.
You don't smell any gasoline.
And I'd like to listen also very closely to see if I can hear any kind of really, really faint buzz of technology.
Make a spot listen check with 2 black dice of difficulty.
Okay. My spot and listen is 49. I got a 55, and then
You roll those 2. Those are 2 6s, which are technically exploding dice, so those count as 10, and then you roll them again.
Okay, that's bad. And then 2 4s.
So 18 is added to your total.
Whew. Did we have any last minute really, really nice contributions from the community?
You have a number of competency points remaining. How many would you like to use?
How many do we have left?
There are 7 in the group pool.
And how many am I outside of this? At 18, I think I'm 3 out.
There are 3 degrees of failure
Okay.
into this roll.
I'd like to use 4.
To make 1 degree of success.
Yeah.
Just 1?
I'll take 1 more. Sorry, guys. Good luck next week.
There are only 2 competency points remaining in the pool. And you listen very closely. You don't hear any ticking or whirling. But that in itself, that silence, tells you what it might be.
Okay.
It could be a pressure bomb, not unlike the ones that you use.
So it's about movement. Okay.
It could be if an amount of C4 were placed here and the pressure were put onto the crates, expecting that anybody who came by would move the crates. That could be how this works. While you're thinking this through, Polly, you're there as well.
Yeah. I think Polly is there to help, but when Achira and Faith leave, she does take a few steps back and say, "Let me know if you need anything, but I'm sorry if I don't totally trust you."
I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want anyone else to get hurt. I just want my dog. I think that there's I would assess that there has to be a window in this room. Otherwise, I think that it would have broken even 1995 labor laws in some capacity.
So much has changed. Maybe there was a window.
I would be pretty familiar with the room. Would I know if the window had been barricaded previously? By us, as rolled up here.
Almost all of the windows are barricaded.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that you couldn't enter through the window.
Right. Yeah. So, it looks like either I very carefully try and pick up the pressure-activated bomb that's probably in this one, and I point to the different-looking crate, which, in theory, shouldn't set it off. Typically, you have to drop it or throw it or make some kind of collision with it to set it off. Or I go up around the roof and I try and see if I can break through the barricades that we've set up on the windows, and get in that way and hope they didn't also trap the window.
You know, more about here than there, right?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about all this, but I know that you do.
Yeah.
If you think that the window's safe,
There's another whine from the dog.
How long would it take me to get around to the window?
You'd have to crawl onto the roof, rappel downward. There's no landing there. You'd have to hang. Undoing all of the brickwork that's been put over the windows to guard it is going to take time.
Okay. I know the fallout distance of what this bomb would cause.
Make a spot listen check for me.
Okay. That is a 48, and my spot listen is a 49.
All right. It's technically a wash, but you have 2 competency points in the communal pool. What would you like to do? Do you use them now, or do you save them for the next roll?
can I give her mine?
Yeah, like
The dice were really kind to me in the first half.
So was the communal pool. In fact, a lot of things have been very kind to you.
Uh-huh.
Now, I think you have to make a choice. Save them or use them.
I'm gonna use them.
There's movement deeper down the hallway. Someone else is here with you.
Do what you need to do.
How quickly does that bomb go off once it makes connection? Like,
You don't know.
I mean, I know the type of bomb.
You think you know the type of bomb.
Going off of what I think I know,
Yes.
would I have time to shove the bin down the hall?
Is that what you want to do? When you see movement down the hallway?
It could be one of our people. It could be one of our people. I definitely want to first communicate with Polly that someone else is here. And I'm just going to kind of like look at
If you do nothing else, then I'm going to use the rest of my action. You turn to communicate to Polly. And Polly, there's a gunshot. As you watch Dialup's head blow outward towards you. Dialup, I'm sorry. You've been shot with a headshot, and you are dead. Polly, the body hits the ground, and you see a figure stepping towards you with a gun pointed towards you. Now that's enough death for today. I'd like for you to raise your hands up, or you're going to be joining her. And the man that steps out is a nightmare. Long, straggly hair on one side, burns and cuts, and what looks like bear claws raked across his face. What do you do? And that's where we're going to end our session tonight.